Welcome to CMMC Unacknowledged, where we answer the unanswered questions that were asked during the monthly CMMC-AB Townhall meetings. My name is Todd Stanton. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for all things CMMC at Etactics, and as always, I'm joined by Ty Wittenberg. Ty is the Senior Information Assurance Manager at Rain Associates. Welcome, Ty.
Hey, Todd. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. All right, our question for this episode is on a recent DoD CIO call. David McEwen, the CISO, talked about the importance of cyber incident reporting. Now, cyber incidents are defined in the DFARS as actions taken through the use of computer networks that result in a compromise or an actual or potential adverse effect on an information system and or the information residing therein. So let's talk a little about this cyber reporting requirement from the DFARS. How long do companies have until they have to report an incident that they've identified?
That's a really good question, right? And for some folks that are engaged in contracts already, they should know this one. But if you don't, here you go. You have 72 hours from the time of learning of it to reporting it to the DoD.
And how are incidents supposed to be reported?
So the incident's supposed to be reported through the acronyms. I'm so sorry.
DIBNet, is that?
DIBNet is where it's supposed to go through, right? But the incident reporting is you're supposed to do an unclassified mandatory incident report, or a MIR, MIR, per the DFARS, which provides a report to the DIB or the cyber threat information received. And it's a voluntary report, but it's mandatory when it's in your contract.
And so what type of information do you need to submit along with that incident report?
So obviously, they're going to want to know what systems, what users, what was the incident of compromise, along with if there is any exfiltration of information, which would then be considered a breach of what was potentially pulled out of the system.
And so when you talk to your clients about incident response plans, do you look to the practices within that domain to kind of craft that incident response plan?
Your incident response plan clearly has to speak to that. That's why your incident response plan should also be part of the language in that thick book of your system security plan in order to address how you collect the data, what the call chain looks like internally, out to externally to the Department of Defense and any other partners that you have that help you with your incident response.
And lastly, when it comes to consulting with your clients, if they came to you and said they had a breach, how do you weigh whether or not they engage legal representation, or is that somewhere within that incident response plan where they're consulting with their legal representatives in terms of what information should be relayed regarding the breach?
So obviously some of that comes out of business impact analysis. There's multiple things that they might have to do beyond just reporting to the DoD. So I always recommend that in your incident response plan, if you have cyber insurance in place, there's a conversation that you have with your insurance provider. That should probably happen within that window as well, too. If you have legal counsel that is an expert around cybersecurity incidents and things like that, that you discuss those as well, too. And if you're a larger organization, and there's potential reputational damage, you might reach out to an organization that handles public relations in regards to these types of breaches. So a really solid incident response plan lists all those particular steps, not only on information forensically that needs to be collected, but steps that you need to do as an organization to, one, uphold your responsibility of reporting, but two, make sure as an organization that it's not going to negatively impact you so that you can stay in business for years and years to come.
And so going back to a previous conversation that we had about the placemat, the kind of four corners of how DoD is ensuring cybersecurity is implemented throughout the DIB. We talked about cyber threat information intelligence sharing. So would it be correct to understand that incidents that are reported to the DoD are analyzed by organizations under their umbrella, and then that in turn turns into some of the cyber threat information sharing and reporting that comes out to other organizations to help identify ways to maybe prevent future attacks like the one that occurred to you?
Yes, most definitely. That goes into the signature database, what those threats are. Typically, they'll be communicated. This DoD has access to the NSA in order to, provide some targeted support as well too around things that they can do to resolve those issues. So there's a ton of resources, and once you've done your incident response and sharing to ensure that the entire defense industrial base, is aware and the risk can be reduced.
And it seems like with a lot of world events that are happening today, that there's maybe an increased awareness or sensitivity to incident reporting. I think that the initiative is to stay ahead of any large scale, threats from global actors. Have you heard anything specifically in terms of requests from government officials to kind of pay extra attention to what's happening on your network and any vulnerabilities or incidents, no matter how small, to report those immediately?
So obviously sharing that information is voluntary. A lot of times from business decisions as organizations, as these attacks from advanced persistent threat actors have proliferated, there has not been a lot of this knowledge sharing amongst organizations seeking certification or any organization for that matter. We all kind of handle them in a bubble, right? Stay isolated. I think the reporting here and the partnership with the DoD, and like I've shared with you in previous conversations, if you're members or partners in like the FBI's InfraGard as well too, those are ways to share that information and ensure that the threat data is out there, reported quickly, shared, so that resolutions can be provided or hardening of systems can be done to prevent those particular threats from happening. Those vulnerabilities, if you're exposed to it and you're not the organization that's had the incident, having that information at your fingertips because a Ty Wittenberg organization shared it and now it's out there is beneficial and strengthening our cybersecurity infrastructure in the manufacturing and then in the DIB space.
So if an organization realizes that they don't have a well thought out, well written incident response plan, and they wanted to reach out to Rain Associates for help, how can they reach you?
You definitely can reach out to us through our website, reacpa.com, and go to our cyber links. Or you can reach out to myself, Ty Wittenberg, WHITTENBURG, at reacpa.com. And that's reacpa.com. And we can definitely help walk you through those things.
Well, Ty, thank you again for your time and for your insight on this topic.
Awesome. Thanks for having me again, Todd. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.